The links to join the channel here, become a member over on Subscribestar. Thanks everyone's donating the Cash App, Coffee, and the various other links. Here's the thing. Let me ask people to become a member. Here's the reason why. The videos get uploaded. They go to membership stuff for a couple hours, even a day. Or sometimes they never make it out of the membership thing because they're kind of right on the edge of being allowed on YouTube. But if you're a member, one of the videos I did 2 videos ago, I was doing something tongue-in-cheek, but it fell flat. I didn't convey the point I was trying to make, which, you know, hey, that happens. But if you're a member, you can get in there ahead of time. You can go, hey, you're all over the place. The point you're trying to make is not, like, it's not coming across. And I will just, like, that's what happened with that video. It's like it completely fell on my face. But you, as a member, you can say that, and I'll just remake the video. Like, at the point, like, we're not getting that you're trying to be tongue-in-cheek here. It's not coming across. Like, remake the video, and you can tell me that in the membership area. I think it costs a buck a month, so it's like, yes, I'm literally asking for your $1 a month, and also asking you to do a little free work, which it's a weird area of the internet where you can ask people to do that for you. Anyway, do that if you would like, and it will save me from making videos. I mean, sometimes, you know, you make videos and you're up in your own head a little bit, and you think like people are like on board with what you're trying to say, and they're not. It's like, it's not the audience's fault. It's the person who's making the video. Because, you know, yeah, it's YouTube. It's not professional programming. So here's the thing. Elon Musk, I love the Mary Sue, because hearing them, like, the bitterness, the anger for people on Twitter complaining about Twitter is insane. Like, we want Twitter to fail so badly. It's like, no, you don't. I don't know if I can stay on Twitter, the dramatic X. It's like, you said that a week ago, friend. Your account's still up. You're still active. Weird. You haven't gone to Mastodon, Gab, or Matrix, or Minds, or, like, nobody's talking about Minds and Facebook and all these other sites. It's like, you're not going anywhere, dude. Honestly, like, they could look at Gab. Like, you know, you've got millions of people on Twitter. You could take over Gab and completely outnumber the people on Gab. It's like, it never even occurs to them, probably because they think Andrew Torba is the devil himself. Anyway. So Elon Musk Twitter restores the worst extremists' accounts, Carl Benjamin, Sargon of Akkad, while he whines about fleeing advertisers. Yeah, well, the advertisers are back. So over the past two days, the small and mid-sized advertisers have all come back. So no, it's not Ford and Coca-Cola yet, but it's a bunch of mid-sized advertisers. So I think he's going to do okay with that. Here's the thing with, like, Ford and Coca-Cola are going to look at this and go, okay, well, the leaders of the governments around the world, the mainstream media, all the celebrities, everyone is on Twitter. But you're telling us if we advertise the new Ford pickup truck on Twitter or Coca-Cola, that we're going to, Elon Musk drinks Diet Coke, and that triggers these people. So if we advertise the new Toyota Tacoma on Twitter, you're going to try to get mad at us, like, but you're on Twitter. Like, all the people who would boycott Toyota are on Twitter saying that if you advertise on Twitter, we'll boycott you. But you're on Twitter saying that doesn't make sense. Thing is, if the president of the United States is on Twitter, then yes, eventually Coca-Cola and Ford are going to come back to Twitter. There's no reason not to. It's like, you're like, all their arguments fall flat when you look at them. You're like, you realize you're saying this all on Twitter. We can see what you're doing. You're on the platform itself, and half of you have got Tesla. I'm selling my Tesla. No, you're not. No, you're not. In fact, you know, Elon creates this whole, like, the Twitter X live streaming platform, video hosting thing, and then the Tesla phone, tablets, laptops, and the app stores. It's like, you're going to compete with Apple in creating a kind of a high-end brand for people with discretionary income who view themselves as a little bit more sophisticated. And if you can get a designer to design a tech ecosystem where you've got, you know, like, I've got Apple speaker myself. It's one of the old ones, but it's this, you know, it's this high-end brand that people like, and it's quality stuff. Don't get me wrong, but it's like, it's made overseas just like everything else is made overseas. Tesla is an even higher end brand than Apple. It has better name recognition, and there's a huge population of people who look at the Teslas, the sophisticated technological ecosystem of Tesla, and they're like, yeah, I want to get on with that brand. I've got a Tesla car. I want a Tesla phone. I want wireless speakers throughout the house. It's like the rise of tech ecosystems associated with cults of personality is something you look at like, oh, this is an empty spot on the bookshelf that this Elon Musk guy could easily fill. Like, well, Apple's a $2.3 trillion company. Yeah, but Elon Musk can bring something to the table that Apple can't. Privacy-based devices and free speech. And Google and Apple cannot do that. And plus, he's got a cult of personality behind him, and that's nothing to be sneered at. Anyway, so Twitter is a threat to our democracy. I mean, our Bolshevism. So Carl Benjamin is a dangerous extremist, and he's allowed back on Twitter. And the Mary Sue is outraged or pseudo outraged. I don't know if they're outraged about anything. And they're suddenly they're against people who hurt kids. So it's like, oh, can we get together on that? Can we get together on that? It's like, only when it suits us, because otherwise the left wing is the party of defending drag type of things. So the Twitter is bringing people back. Accounts over 50,000 have started to trickle in, and then smaller accounts will come. I've been petitioning for one of my old accounts. I don't know if that's ever going to happen. I might have been a little too much. So far extremist right wingers like Carl Benjamin and Milo and Fuentes. It's like, oh, those are extreme guys on the extreme right. Now, here's the thing that left doesn't understand. There's a difference between the political bell curve and then the politically incorrect bell curve is something the left doesn't understand. It's like saying all my friends are racist, and you look at your friends and there are people all over the world, and that those two statements can kind of be true, but it's because that R word has such an ambiguous meaning. To the left, it means whatever they want. To the right, it just means nationalist. It means in-group preference, but that doesn't mean that you're not friends without groups. But you're both advocating for your own group. But as long as you're not at adverse interests to each other, you can still be friends and work together. The left wing is globalist. They want to destroy tribalism. They want to destroy everything that keeps a stable society. So to say like all my friends are Islamophobic, and you look around, they're like, one guy's wearing a sombrero and I don't know what other stereotypical Middle Eastern headdresses. You get the idea. It's like, yes, those two things are true, but the left wing doesn't understand it, because the left wing is a bunch of 30-year-old cat ladies and soy boys. It just completely clues. So my point is that like Carl Benjamin and Fuentes and all those guys, like those are not right-wing characters. They're on some of them might be moving on the right, but they're not on the far right. The far right is a bunch of other names I don't even know if you can say on YouTube, because here's the thing, it's a little confusing. Like, you don't want to get caught up in this. Like, Twitter has much freer speech, yes. YouTube censorship is getting worse day by day. So if you're bouncing around between Twitter and YouTube, you come back to YouTube, you think you're going to make videos that would be accepted on Twitter. No, YouTube is getting worse all the time, which is why I have my fingers crossed for Twitter X. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll be over there on the first day. So what happened pre-Elon is that the right wing got censored. Remember the Covington Catholic kids going the wood chipper? Like literal threats of violence to children, like nothing happened to that kind of stuff. The left wing could actively plan criminal activity, and they were untouchable. Elon buys it and kicks off the child exploiters and criminal planners, which is mostly the left wing, as you're seeing all these accounts get suspended. The bias was so insanely obvious on the mainstream platforms that alternative platforms started to pop up. The only reason you can have the financially make a commercial alt viable is when the mainstream is so censorious that there becomes a desire, and the market is starting to look around for something else. And then you see Parler, Getter, Truth, BitChute, Odyssey, Gab TV, Post, Shing, and a bunch of others start to pop up because there's a market desire for that. The impact of Elon buying Twitter is huge. It's the last shot to turn away from globalism and insert the image of smiling Carl Benjamin, his face as the savior of the West, which like, oh, he's a dangerous far right extremist. You look at it like, Carl Benjamin, are you sure? So this article popped up on screen. I tracked down this article, and everything this guy says is a lie. Carl Benjamin, and the suicidal altruism of the liberal intellectual, is thinking that as an adult who's going to deal with other adults in good faith and fair dealing, and you think you're giving the other adult the benefit of the doubt, and then you realize you're dealing with children's minds in adult bodies who will take things out of context, and you look in the eye and you go, you took that out of context, you're misrepresenting what he said, and they get all smarmy and shifty. They're the dirty media who dissemble and craft their own narrative by facts not in accord with reality. Even his hot phrase, don't say it in the comments, from a few years ago is probably too politically correct to say on YouTube today. Anyway, so Elon's new Twitter is this cataclysmic potential cultural shift. Because by that potential, I mean, like, even if the right wing has got free speech, they almost never get off the couch. And when they do, in the forms of like Pat Front, WLM, GDL, like these IRL, peaceful legal assembled a constantly respected activist group, when they do get out there, the milquetoast right wing calls them glowing federal agents so that they themselves don't have to get off their couch. It's just an easy way to deflect and push it on down the line. Even as these IRL people, they have the banks and the financial institutions close their accounts and destroy their lives. The right wing has been brainwashed by 70 years of government schools, and one of the biggest mistakes was allowing governments to control the schools, but people are awakening to a lot of things, and like the conversation is being had on Twitter and Gab, to be fair, but it's not like it's where the vibe is moving. It's like, this is why Twitter and the Tesla company is so potentially powerful, because I'm on Twitter, I can see where the energy is. And if he gets that Twitter X, a video hosting platform or live streaming platform, and it's monetized, you're going to turn a lot of other accounts into MySpace. You're just going to take the energy. No, Apple is not going anywhere. It's the biggest company on earth. It's never going to go anywhere. Facebook's not going to go anywhere. Google, YouTube is not going anywhere. But you can take the win from their sales and move people in a different direction. And Twitter has a potential to do that. That's why I've been talking about them for the past 2 weeks, because I can see where they're going with this, and I can see the potential. And it hasn't actually been realized yet, but as soon as they get live streaming, that's a huge step. And when they get the Tesla phone, if he decides to go that route, it's just going to be a huge point on the timeline. It seems like the right and left is fighting over what form of globalist propaganda is better. They should team up and destroy the globalist propaganda. If Twitter has video hosting, live streaming, phones, and Android is open source, so they have an Android fork off that operating system, they have an app store. He can create a free speech tech ecosystem as a competitor to Apple and Google, because he can do something that those companies can't do. He can have a free speech based company. And that's something that the mainstream, the financial institutions, the banks, the big tech are not able to do right now, because they're all tied into each other. And then eventually you realize, like, oh, so these financial institutions are going to cancel your services also. You realize, like, oh, well, we have a problem, like at a national level, at a legal level. We're going to have free speech and be free from political discrimination. You can't live in modern day life and be a slave to people who can act as gatekeepers, the Apple, the Google, and financial services companies. It's like that's not a liberal republic that we had planned to be slaves to these companies. That's not what the founding fathers intended, or whatever the equivalent was in Europe, to be slaves to a commercial interest. That's insane. There could be a return to a more free internet, like 2015 era, where you had the video of Richard Spencer and Sargon were having a calm, reasonable discussion about politics. That is something the puppet masters very much do not want to see happen, and they made sure it didn't happen, because those people who had that conversation, I think out of all of them, only Sargon was still allowed on YouTube. I think everyone else got kicked off, which tells you what kind of things the mainstream is scared of. People on different ends of the political bell curve having calm, reasonable discussions, yeah, that must not be allowed. They will do anything they can to shut that down. A free speech environment where we have diversity of thought, and you look at the leftists who are so triggered by that, and you go like, yeah, you just don't, like, nobody's forcing you to take part in these conversations. If you like, oh, no, we don't want to take part in them, but we also don't want you to take part in them. We're not your slaves. We're not. Oh, well, we'll get big tech and the banks to shut you down. It's like, well, then we need to do something about that at a legal level, at a constitutional level, at a legislative level. We need a little bit more freedom, and it'd be nice to see if our representatives would get up on that. Anyway, so Twitter X could leave YouTube behind for like YouTube could just be the big titted girls doing unboxing videos. YouTube is it's not going away, but like people want free speech. Like there's a growing percentage of people who fundamentally want free speech, and like Twitter and Tesla and Elon Musk is just right there. He's able, like, he can create something. And the thing is, the guy is probably a genius. I know he's looking at this and goes, oh, this is a direction we have to move in. Like, this could be the Tesla phone type of thing. It could be the biggest company, or it'd be this biggest family of companies. And, in 10 years, it's like could be competing with Apple. I mean, like at one time, Apple wasn't always Apple, So the left wing, like, what put Apple on the map? The iPhone, probably. Yeah. I mean, it's like companies grow and then they kind of grandfather out, like Facebook and a bunch of other companies. It's like, yes, he couldn't possibly compete with Apple and Google. I think that's where you might be wrong, kiddo. So the left wing has built this kind of clever foundational mythology. It took decades to establish. They created this concept of the wrong thinker, the wrecker of progress. They used 70 years of media and government propaganda to animal farm the cattle into believing this stuff. Now, in the last moments, they can release the trigger words to unleash the brainwashed. They built up a mythology of wrong thinkers who are so evil that you can do violence against them. It's just by naming this word. They provide no evidence. They don't need evidence. They have 70 years of brainwashed propaganda to create a stimulus response. Label Carl Benjamin or Andy Ngo. I know it's pronounced no, whatever, but it's spelled Ngo. You label these guys wrong thinkers, or you can label Christians, conservatives, or blonde or red-haired or blue-eyed or green-eyed European people as the people that it's okay to hate. All the hate you have, all the frustration, you can take this out on European people. So is there any evidence for that? No. We don't need evidence. We have 70 years of government school propaganda and media propaganda. Oh, it's must be an incredibly powerful feeling to control the dissemination of information. So create your targets via 70 years of media government lies, then use the Hegelian model, create fear, false flags, Jussie Smollett situations. Like how many Jussie Smollett situations have to come out, including the race car driver with the nooses and stuff, like to the point where the media is with a straight face. They take all these Jussie Smollett stuff seriously, and people on Twitter are like, yeah, these are all hoaxes. Like 99% of this is a hoax, where somebody puts spray paint on a religious structure. Yeah, it's almost 100% of the time it's someone who is you know what I'm saying with that? Like it's a Jussie Smollett situation, and the media looks at you with a straight face and tries to convince you that, oh no, these things are real. No, they're not. Nobody believes that anymore, except for the brainwashed leftists. And then when you point out it's a hoax, they somehow get offended. It's like, well, it's like these aren't hoaxes. These are anti-white hate crimes, because they want you to think that it was a certain group was doing this stuff, who was painting these, spray painting these things, or doing these false flags. It's not a hoax. It is propaganda. It is a hate crime, but it's against European Americans. And some people are slowly making that connections. They've used the media to pour oxygen into this fear engine of cattle who have been addicted to TV for the past 60 years. Then they offer them this target solution, point to these people as the source. These people meet the elements of the Frankfurt School manipulation. In the meantime, you offer con ops to keep people placated. You give them Steven Crowder or Salty or Shapiro or Jordan Peterson or Dave Rubin, to keep people within this limited spectrum of allowable opinions. It's a spectrum. As you get into the real stuff, you get over the target. You catch anti-aircraft fire. To escape the matrix, those people all get kicked off the mainstream social media, and the banks, the payment processors, Patreon, PayPal, Stripe, Foursquare, credit card companies will all cancel them. So the mainstream media, social media, and all these financial institutions all work together to cancel you. And it's not just a hyperbolic tinfoil hat statement. Like, that's happened to a bunch of people. Like, shouldn't that be legal? Shouldn't we be protected from from political discrimination based on our political beliefs by billion-dollar companies? It seems like an issue to me. It'd be nice if someone with more reach than me would get behind it. So these wrong thinkers won't be able to do business in the modern digital age, which makes people realize that the wrong thinkers were right, because they prove it by getting kicked out of all these places. Oh, well, they shouldn't have said what they said. But now you're just accepting slavery, but you're arguing over who gets to be a slave. Like, you've accepted the concept of slavery, and it puts the left wing in the position of having to defend censorship, where, like, if you're over a certain age and you've seen the progress or the regression of the left wing, you look at it and like, what the fudge is going on? It wasn't that long ago that, like, if you told the left winger 30 years ago where you'd be now, you're like, oh, these aren't liberals. They might be communists or authoritarians, but they're not liberals like they were even just 40 years ago. To be an adult liberal and see left wingers shut down a speaker is terrifying and depressing. To see adults in the audience, it happened at a law school too. To see adults in the audience with like this immature childlike mentality of not just sitting like reasonable adults and behaving like civilized people, and you realize, they're not. Like, they're incapable of it. They're not capable of acting like older generations of liberal, civilized, rational, intelligent adults who are capable of having disagreements without being disagreeable. You see them act like children. It's like you should raise the hairs on the back of your neck because you know these people are capable. If they're not in control of their own emotions, if they can't argue rationally and counter offer a rebuttal, the only thing they can offer is noise to shut down a speaker. Like, you're in for some very, very dark days. To see no other liberal adults speak up against this childish globalist behavior tells you that the left wing has been completely subverted by globalism. The right wing is finally in a position of having to accept the more base right wing if they want to survive, because the more base right wing was right all along. The moderate right has learned that they have just been moving to the left. Only if you're based and chad-pilled and clown visioned are you able to move to the right. Anyway, I hope this wasn't too much for YouTube. Join the channel, become a member so you can preview the videos. Let me know if I'm getting my point across. Or join the Subscribe Star Cash App. Thanks, and I'll see you guys all next episode.